Hi, and welcome back to the Two Pondering Pagans. I'm Salon.
I'm Rook.
And we are doing something a little bit different today. We are jumping on the reaction bandwagon, but a little bit differently. What we're going to do is watch a video that hopefully has a very positive message and kind of just chime in and have a discussion about the content, maybe some of our own experiences with it, and how it might potentially change our own point of view. So without any further ado, we are going to kick it over to a preacher, well, a Baptist preacher and a drag queen say hello. So we will periodically pause as we go through and hope you enjoy.
Hello.
Hello.
And hello.
Hello.
I'm the Reverend Dr. Greg Dover.
And I'm delighted to be here.
She is. And I hope you are too, because we want you to participate.
Yes, audience participation starts now.
We want you to guess which of the following statements applies to which one of us.
And we'll let you know by raising our hand.
All right, here we go.
Who has a doctorate in religious studies?
Okay, that's the easy one because, you know, you're you. But here's the thing. I have a PhD.
Oh.
A Pentecostal hairdo.
Oh, looks good too.
Thanks.
Who doesn't drink?
In fact, I will be sober 7 years coming May. Lord willing, the creek don't rise.
And I only drink bourbon that's been aged at least 7 years.
That's what we call bougie booze.
Preacher.
That's me. Or should I say, that's me.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh, who did this?
Oh, what'd you do?
I lettered in swimming.
Football and track for me.
Well done. So what we're saying is that we've been in the same place, but not at the same time.
Right.
So how about we fix that?
Let's do it.
Well, if this isn't a joke waiting to happen, I don't know what is.
I'm going to pause it here just for a quick second. So I think when I first saw this video, I've seen it before, Rook hasn't, it literally jumped out at me because Baptist preacher, I have a history with the Baptist church. It's not a good one. Most of my experience has not been a good one. And just seeing that it is still possible for people to communicate and get together in this way and not be judgmental of a lot of things. So it was very nice to see. And I think a lot of other people watching or who talk about, the Baptist church and all of those different things and how they've been treated and all of that. All right, and we're back. Sorry, there will be probably a lot of jump cuts in this little video because I am on call, so I have to answer when the phone rings. And plus, doggos. But anyway, I think back to what I was saying, or what my point really is I automatically do what I want other people not to do and say because of my bad experience, all experiences with that type of person is going to be the same way. And this is kind of reminding me that that's not the case. And not only is that not the case for me, it's not the case for the people that they're with too. Because as you'll see further down the video, there's some pretty interesting points that he'll make. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it would be nice if more people with everything going on now would do what these two are doing. And I have not seen this video, so it's a nice surprise. And it makes me kind of happy to see someone from the Baptist religion which I grew up with doing something like this. So it's very nice so far.
Yeah, it gets better, trust me. So we will go ahead and hit play again, and I did back it up just a hair, so it might be a little repeat there.
Well, if this isn't a joke waiting to happen, I don't know what is.
A Baptist pastor and a drag queen walk into a bar.
But it was actually a county council meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, the Greenville County Council met to sunset an anti-LGBT ordinance from 1996, and that's how I got to find out about you.
Yeah, there were a group of folks who were looking to get rid of that discriminatory ordinance, and I spoke at one of those meetings in support of the LGBTQ community, and there was a video of that. It got shared all the way up to New York City.
Yeah, it was the only thing from 2020 that went viral that was a good thing. But at the next meeting when they were voting, that's when we met.
Yep, saw each other and said hello, introduced ourselves, stayed in touch, and our friendship began.
Which is about to come into question right now, because we need to pause for a second. I need to know, as you are the only person who spoke in support of sunsetting this ordinance, how you, Mr. Cisgender, white, heterosexual Baptist pastor, became the voice of the LGBTQ community that day.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not quite sure myself, and to be honest, I wish it had been somebody from the LGBTQ community that was able to speak, but there were only a very few number of spots for speakers. It was first come, first served, and the Bible beaters had made an effort to fill up all of those spots and get there early. Luckily, one of them saw me in my Baptist minister outfit and heard me mention I was a pastor and called me up, let me cut in front of him, and said to the clerk, "Oh, he's one of us." So I got to talk.
I really want to know what he thought of your speech.
Yeah, he didn't like it.
I couldn't imagine.
He passed me on the way out and he just glared at me and said, "You're disgusting."
So I wanted to pause here too, and definitely wanted to hear feedback, but I think this was the first moment when I originally at first watched this video. So again, not a real reaction, but I wanted Rook to see it. But this like my first thought here is he had somebody in his own church system call him disgusting just for not being a jerk to somebody. And it made me think, how many people think that this particular pastor, because he's not, throwing down the gauntlet of everybody who's different than him, how many think that he's not a real pastor or a real Christian? And that's really sad to me that people will think that, and really just, it's sad. And it's a dose of reality where I'm kind of the same way with people that call themselves Baptist. Now, I think I have a trauma from a Baptist church, and I am working now after this to kind of think of changing that from I left the church to I left a church with those particular people. And even if a large majority are a certain way, you still can't apply that to everyone. So what do you think?
Yeah, it's really nice. It's kind of healing in a way. I grew up Southern Baptist in Texas, so I feel like it kind of double the stereotype what we think people are like in different groups, religious or not. And this has helped me to remember not to think that way and not make my snide little comments like church, ooh, and there's a lot of good people like this man. So it's opening my eyes to within.
That's probably the biggest reason why I wanted to watch it. Didn't even ever consider doing a video where we talk about the content. So, not really reacting to it, but just talking about the message in here of you can still be angry and fight for, solidarity and forward movement and against a system without hanging every person that's part of that system because either they don't know or maybe they're ones that are trying to make the change too. So I like this little jump in, so we'll get back on and continue forward.
Whoa, yeah, hold on just a second. What happened to Delighted?
She had a gig. But let's talk about important things. you were just called disgusting by somebody in your circle. Your Baptist pastor, good old boys club that you got going. You know, you have a man who made an assumption about you, and then moments later cast judgment as you proved other than his assumption. So how did all that make you feel?
Yeah, it was shocking, really. I mean, it was jarring in a way because I don't get that kind of reaction often.
Couldn't imagine.
And I recognize that there are people, particularly maybe trans individuals, people who are part of the LGBTQ community, who may hear those comments and get those kinds of responses much more often, maybe even on a daily basis. But for me, and then for our church, when we became publicly affirming, we had a number of other Christians, other pastors who thought we were disgusting. And it hurts because these are the people that claim the same faith as you. And as much as I didn't want to care about what that guy thought, it still hurt.
Yeah.
I have to say, though, there were a number of others who had a much more positive and encouraging response.
As we'll see.
I don't get a reaction like that a lot, and I'm sure there are many other people that do. I mean, I'm sure you've had some kind of response like that before. What was it like for you? What kind of reactions did you get when you came out or when you first started doing drag?
Oh, all my friends thought I was beautiful.
You are.
But upon further inspection of the pictures from that time, I looked like the last drag queen on the island, but I digress. You know, whether it was coming out of the closet or being a drag queen, I have experienced being othered on a normal basis. In fact, when I was in first grade, they were teaching rhyming, and I was gay Clay to the class. And they didn't know what it even meant, but they knew it was derogatory. And that kind of negativity just sticks with you.
I'm sure. Well, what was it like with your family when you came out? I mean, was that a negative experience too, or positive?
It was challenging, and it's not something I want to talk about at the moment. But I will let everybody know that it does get better. So know that.
So just to pause here again real quick, I think it's interesting when people have the coming out story and they talk about, what it feels like and how it feels like when you quote unquote come out. At 40 years old, I consider myself out, yet I still come out almost every day. I'll be in a room talking with a group of people and they're just chatting, and maybe I've newly met them on a visit through work or somewhere, and I'd say, oh yeah, and my husband's an administrator, and you still get that little flutter for a minute of, oh dear God, I'm coming out to these people right now again. And it reminds me anyway of when I first started going through the process and how depressing it was and how difficult that really was. So, Rook.
Yeah, I wonder why she doesn't want to share her coming out story, but that's nice that she said it does get better. It definitely does. It doesn't feel like it will sometimes, but it does. I do have times like you're talking about where you'll be meeting somebody, maybe it's a family member or something of one of your patients, and they'll say, oh, are you married? And you say yes, and they'll say, oh, well, what does your wife do? They just assume.
Yep.
The old patients, sometimes they do it, and they're older in that generation, but they actually surprise me more, the elderly do, than the younger people with that. They seem to have, maybe it's through wisdom and life experience where they know certain things. But I've had experienced what you said, but it's usually by the baby boomers or younger people, and not so much the elderly.
Yeah, I've always wondered if it was a matter of perspective. When you get to the point where you're elderly and you need care, perspective is that it just isn't a blip on the radio anymore, So, but anywho, without making this video too long, we'll go back and continue on.
Good to hear. All right, I gotta break in again.
Right.
I feel like when I asked that question, it got a little awkward. I don't know if my curiosity maybe got the best of me, but I don't know. It just feels like I overstepped a little bit there.
Healthy curiosity is a good thing, but when you're having deep conversations like this, you're going to have these moments where someone's not quite comfortable being open about certain things. And it's important to know that if you go into these conversations, you should have boundaries. You should know what you're willing to divulge and what you want to keep private. And you have every right to share that when you feel comfortable. And the fact that you respected me in that moment allowed the conversation to continue. And knowing that this is just the beginning of many conversations is an important thing to know.
Yeah, let's that relationship keep going.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
let's keep going.
Let's do it. Got to turn the tables. How does it feel, or how was your response when you came out as straight? Oh, don't worry, honey. Maybe you just haven't found the right guy.
Maybe.
Right. Now, on a serious note, you are a pastor and a leader of a community of faith that is notoriously aggressive and discriminatory towards the LGBTQ community. And despite that, you are an ally. Why?
Yeah, I'm sorry for that history. And the Christian church, Baptist churches have been terrible, and that is lamentable. But for me, I became an ally because of my experience with one person. He was a youth in a church where I was a summer intern for a number of years. Faithful, wonderful person, and he called me a few years later and said, I just want to tell you that I'm gay. And I want to tell you that because you're one of the people that has helped me understand and accept and love who God created me to be. And I had no idea what to say or how to respond. I think I said, thank you. But
It doesn't happen every day.
yeah, but it did start me on this journey to being welcoming and affirming of LGBTQ persons in the church. And because of that, I've gotten to know and love even more delightful people like you. Which I want to ask, where did delighted to be here come from? How did you get started in drag?
Oh, I was just immaculately conceived, just appeared out of nowhere. But it was actually more of a Picture Sicily 1943 or Atlanta 2001 situation. I was the third wheel on a blind date to a camp drag show in Atlanta. And we're talking goatees, hairy chest, balloon boobs, bawdy humor. And they were raising money for people living with HIV/AIDS. And it was that juxtaposition of philanthropy and entertainment that pulled me in, and I fell in love. And that was 20 years ago. And
I'm only going to stop it here for a few seconds because I think it's very interesting and something that I don't think about a lot, about how many very large, and I don't mean in size, drag queens actually are really involved in philanthropy and doing, and we know they did that, I mean, all my life since the late 90s, raising money for charities and for HIV/AIDS resources, and It Gets Better projects and homeless, like B. Arthur, one of my favorite people from that thought process of philanthropy, but not that she was a drag queen, but you get my point. So
Could have been.
she probably could have been. Well, anybody can be, right? And I just I think it's very interesting that we forget that part of it sometimes, and we look at it just as that humor and entertainment, and some people don't like that type of entertainment, but what they actually end up doing is really cool.
Can I just say that I was laughing earlier because I only then realized that in the pop-out video that the other guy was the drag queen.
Oh, that his name is actually delighted to be here?
That too. I was like, who is this other man he's talking to?
Sorry, everybody, I just need a pause. Okay. All right.
Though my friend didn't find a husband that day, I found a career. And it's just sort of curious to see where that's going to go now that I have moved from New York City down to Greenville.
And that's a big move.
A little bit.
What's it like being back in your hometown?
I wish I could tell you. I moved during a pandemic, so I haven't really got a chance to explore my favorite little hangouts and stuff. But what's curious is that there's not an LGBTQ establishment within 100 miles. And even while I'm walking around town, I just see these shadows and have these memories of when I was a closeted gay kid who was not welcomed, who was not confident in myself. And it was just hard then, and it's hard now, and I'm really curious as to how that's going to develop as I live here. But I'm pretty optimistic. Yeah, because it's not every day that a Baptist pastor smiles at you and says hello.
Well, I'm glad that we did say hello and connected and have this friendship.
Absolutely, and unfortunately, though the friendship will continue, our time can't. So we must now say goodbye.
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 Not yet.
Wait,
Not just yet.
yeah, not a goodbye yet. Now, that was an incredible conversation, and I loved having it with you, and it's been an incredible process getting prepared to have this talk.
And a lot of fun.
And a lot of fun, but the thing is, this is so critical to give an example of how to have a difficult conversation with folks that you might not think that you seem to have eye to eye with. And it's that saying hello that gets it started.
Yeah, and hopefully we have shown how a friendship can result from that, how conversations that are meaningful can come from that initial hello, and maybe shown how to have that conversation and be curious but respectful, and finding out more and more about another person.
Yeah, and it can feel overwhelming at times. But having those boundaries in place, knowing who you are, getting to know somebody else allows you to open up at your own pace and have that in return as well. It opens doors. Those hellos are an acknowledgement of someone's identity. You don't think about that, but just something as looking somebody in the eye and saying hello is an acknowledgement of someone's completeness without assumption or stereotypes being applied. It's an antidote to assumptions.
And I think you've said it, that if you ask someone their name, they will tell you their story.
As simple as that.
So that hello is opening a door to the possibilities on the other side, the conversations on the other side, the relationships on the other side, and maybe even the transformation that can happen on the other side. But it all starts with hello.
Yes, and unfortunately, now is really time when we just say
have to end.
goodbye. So how do you normally end your sermons?
Usually with some kind of altar call. How do you end your performances?
Last call. Yeah, but how about we give you a call to action? And that is our Say Hello Challenge. We would like for you to go out and say hello to somebody, start a conversation, have healthy, respectful curiosity, and through those conversations, we can change the world.
So as we say goodbye, we want you to say hello.
Hello?
So that's that.
Wow, that was really good. I'm going to watch more.
I know. Okay, I don't know why my computer is doing all of these fun things. This is all I wanted. And just so we can have a quick discussion. So yeah, I mean, it's a short video. I seriously was uncomfortable through quite a bit of it. at times, just because it brought back memories of things that I've gone through and that I think probably you have experienced too. And if even one additional person sees this and then goes over and actually watches the full video and sits and supports it, I think it's great. I am going to try to find a say hello challenge shirt, because I think that would be neat to have. But I just it's a reminder to me that I can't expect other people to change if I'm not willing to change too. And I will still call out when certain things occur and happen if I need to, but I'm not going to expend energy trying to run something down without knowing the individuals behind it. It just, you can't, because it just does nothing but create this cycle that continues forever.
Yep, I like that. I want to watch more of these. It was uncomfortable, my goodness, through a good part of that, but very good and worth watching. And this week I'm going to look around at people I normally wouldn't go up to, and maybe I'll challenge myself to find someone to say hello to this week.
Me too, and you're actually better than that than I am. I have a terrible.
People, so, but
I like people too, kind of. I just have a lot harder time initiating a conversation. I can, once it's initiated, a minute in, we're probably best friends, and I will tell you everything. But to get it started, I am very, very insecure about, do I sound gay? Do I look gay? Are they going to judge me for that? Because it's just happened so much. So it's hard to go start a conversation about it. At work, I can do it with new people, no kidding at all, because I have organizational authority to do so. That's easy. But socially, that's probably why, well, I don't smoke. I vape now, but that's probably why I started smoking, was to give me a concern or a reason to go to the smoking area and say hi to somebody. Truly. So, but anyway, that's our first reaction. Not true reaction, because, I've already seen it, but reaction from Rook. I don't know how good it's going to look. I don't know how the audio is going to sound. We don't have anything set up to work right on this, and this is kind of a blind throw, but it's going up anyway. And if it's just terrible, then it's terrible. But if you gets one person to go over and check out that video in that group, I'll be happy. So anyway, hope everybody has a great day. And this is Salon of Two Pondering Pagans signing off. And that is Rook.
this is Rook. Thank you. Bye.
See, we don't even need an outtake reel. It's built in.